Welcome to the deep dive. So, you flagged a really interesting topic for us.
Mhm.
It's about this link between how we see our own academic abilities, academic self-concept, I think it's called,
That's the term, yeah?
and how we actually perform, grades and test scores.
Exactly. And you sent over some great sources on this.
Yeah, and the mission today really is to figure out the sort of directional thing. Does feeling good at something like math make you better at it?
Or does getting good grades make you feel good about math?
Right. The classic chicken or egg question.
And the material you shared really digs into how researchers try to, well, untangle that exact knot.
Okay.
Our main focus is this pretty large study. They followed thousands of secondary school students.
Thousands. Wow.
Yeah, for 5 years, looking specifically at math self-concept, their math grades, and standardized math test scores, too.
Okay, so 5 years, math focus. And the big question is, does thinking I'm good at math help you get good? Or is it nailing those tests that makes you think, hey, I guess I am good at this?
That's the core of it. And the sources, they suggest it's probably not quite so simple. Maybe a bit of both.
And different ways of looking at the data seem to point towards, well, maybe similar answers, but with nuances.
That's right. There's this long-standing debate, this sort of either-or way of thinking.
Okay.
You've got one idea, achievement comes first. You learn fractions, you do well, then your self-concept goes up. I'm getting this. That's like skill development driving belief.
Makes sense.
Then there's the opposite idea, self-enhancement. Believing in yourself first actually pushes you, motivates you to achieve more.
Yeah, like if you walk into class feeling confident, maybe you pay more attention, try harder.
And then you do better, which makes you even more confident.
It feels like they could definitely feed each other, like a loop.
And that intuition, it really lines up with what the research calls the reciprocal effects model, REM for short.
REM. Okay, reciprocal, meaning
Yeah,
back and forth.
exactly. A two-way street. It's not just A causes B or B causes A. It's that they influence each other over time, continuously.
Ah, okay.
And the sources you gave us, they strongly support this RM idea. Feeling good about math can nudge your grades up.
And getting better grades.
Makes you feel more confident about math. It's that loop, not just one direction.
Okay, a continuous loop. So, how do researchers actually track this? The sources mention cross-lagged panel models,
Mhm.
CLPMs.
Yeah, CLPMs. That's been the traditional tool for a while.
And what do they show? What are they looking at?
So think about a group of students.
Mm-hmm.
CLPMs basically look at how students compare to each other over time.
Okay.
They ask, okay, if student A has a higher math self-concept than student B this year, are they likely to have higher math scores than student B next year? And vice versa.
So it's all relative to their peers, how you stack up against the group.
Exactly. It's about those between student differences and how they predict future differences.
Got it. But then there was another acronym, RICLPMs, Random Intercept Cross-Leg Panel Models.
Yes, RICLPMs. These are a newer approach.
And they do something different.
They try to take a more personal view. Instead of comparing you to everyone else, they focus on changes within you.
Within the individual student.
Right. They try to see if, when your self-concept goes up compared to your own usual level, does your achievement also tend to go up later compared to your usual level?
Ah, okay. So it's tracking my own personal ups and downs, not just how I compare to others.
Precisely. While also accounting for the fact that you have a sort of stable, average level of self-concept and achievement overall. It's about the fluctuations around your own average.
That sounds complicated.
It is,
Yeah.
statistically. And yeah, there's been quite a bit of debate about which model, CLPM or RICLPM, gives the better or more accurate picture of what's going on.
Interesting. Okay, so let's get to the findings of this big 5-year study.
Hmm.
What did they see when they use the traditional CLPM approach comparing students?
Well, using those CLPMs, they found really consistent support for that reciprocal effects model, the WAR-M,
Across all 5 years.
across all 5 years, yeah. Students who had a higher math self-concept compared to their peers one year tended to get better grades and test scores compared to their peers the next year.
Okay, and the other way around, too.
And the other way around, too. Better grades and scores one year predicted higher relative self-concept the next. It went both ways.
So that relative confidence boost seems to lead to a relative performance boost, and vice versa. Were these huge effects?
The study described them as modest, but really consistent.
Okay. Not earth-shattering, but reliable.
Exactly. Reliable across the 5 years, and it showed up whether they looked at grades alone, test scores alone, or both combined. So yeah, if you feel a bit better about math than your classmates, you're likely to see a bit of an edge in your performance later.
That's a clear result from the CLPM view. Now, what happened when they used the RI CLPMs, focusing on those with in-person changes?
This is where it gets really compelling, I think. They also found support for the reciprocal effects model using the RICLPMs.
They did. So the same pattern holds even when you look inside the individual.
Yes. Which is really important. It tells us this back and forth isn't just about social comparison, but how you measure up to others.
So what did it show specifically?
It showed that when a particular student felt better than their own average about their math abilities,
Like having a good week or a good month, maybe?
something like that, yeah. When they had that temporary boost above their personal baseline, they were likely to see an increase in their own math achievement later on, again, compared to their own baseline.
Wow. So even if I'm not usually top of the class, if I have a period where I feel more confident, that can actually translate into better results for me.
That's what these findings suggest. It's about your personal trajectory. Your own fluctuations matter.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and the researchers noted something else important too. A lot of the overall variation between students is down to stable factors.
Like some people just generally have higher confidence or generally get better grades.
Exactly. Those stable trait differences account for a lot. But even after statistically controlling for those stable individual differences, these within-person effects, the temporary ups and downs in belief and performance, still showed that reciprocal link.
Okay, so stepping back, whether you compare students to each other or you zoom in on one student's journey over time.
You see the same fundamental pattern. Math self-concept and math achievement seem to be locked in this dance, influencing each other back and forth.
That feels like a pretty solid conclusion then if both methods point that way.
It really strengthens the finding, doesn't it? It's just that these two ways of looking at it aren't necessarily contradictory, but maybe offer complementary insights into the same underlying process.
Right. No, I think the study went even further. Didn't they look at like longer time lags and other factors?
They did, yes. They got quite sophisticated. They tested models that included effects over 2 years, lag 2 effects, they call them.
So how I feel this year might affect my grades, not just next year, but the year after.
Potentially, yes. And they also considered things like gender and how well students had done in math and even language arts back in primary school, sort of controlling for prior ability.
And what happened when they added all that complexity? Did the main story change?
That's the key thing.
Oh.
It didn't fundamentally change the support for the REM. That reciprocal relationship held up.
Okay, so the back and forth is pretty robust.
It seems to be. Now, the strength of some specific paths might have changed slightly when they added these other factors, but the overall picture of mutual influence remained.
Interesting.
They did find that adding those 2-year lag effects seemed to make the traditional CLPM models fit the data a bit better.
What does that suggest?
Well, it might mean that some of these influences take a bit longer to play out, or maybe it helps account for some other unmeasured things happening over time.
Okay. And what about gender or how they did before secondary school? Did those wash out the effect?
No, they didn't wash it out. They found, as you might expect, that prior achievement and gender were related to both math self-concept and later achievement. For instance, boys tended to report slightly higher math self-concept on average in this sample.
Right.
But, and this is crucial, even when they statistically accounted for these covariates,
Yeah.
as they're called,
Factoring them out, basically.
right? Isolating the relationship they were focused on. Even then, the significant reciprocal effects between self-concept and achievement were still present.
Okay. So while your background matters, this ongoing interplay between belief and performance still seems to be a really active ingredient in, well, your academic journey.
That's a great way to put it, an active ingredient.
And this is where it loops back to our listener, right? Someone interested in gaining knowledge, getting up to speed quickly and thoroughly.
Exactly. Because understanding this dynamic isn't just academic, it has real-world implications.
So how can we apply this?
Well, think about it. If you're trying to learn anything new, could be for work, could be a hobby, anything this research suggests, you probably need to attack it from both sides.
Meaning?
Meaning, yes, you need to practice the skill, you need to acquire the knowledge, that's the achievement side.
Right. Put in the hours.
But you also might benefit from actively working on your belief in your ability to learn it, your self-concept in that area.
So it's not just practice, practice, practice.
It seems not just that. It's also about maybe setting smaller goals,
Yeah.
noticing your progress, celebrating the small wins,
Mm.
actively building that sense of, I can do this,
Because that feeling can then fuel more effort, better focus.
which leads to better results,
Mm-hmm.
which reinforces the feeling. It kickstarts that positive cycle, that upward spiral we talked about.
That makes a ton of sense. It reframes just working hard. It adds this psychological layer that's apparently just as important.
It really seems to be. And it also explains the flip side, right?
A negative cycle.
Yeah, if your confidence takes a knock, maybe a bad presentation, a failed attempt at something that could dampen your motivation or effort,
Leading to poorer performance next time.
which then confirms your doubts. You can see how that could spiral downwards, too.
Definitely. So being aware of this whole dynamic is key.
Awareness is the first step, absolutely. Then you can maybe try to consciously nudge yourself onto the upward path.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the single biggest takeaway from this deep dive, based on the sources you shared?
I think the clearest message is that academic self-concept, specifically in math here, and academic achievement aren't just related. They have a reciprocal relationship over time, certainly for these secondary students.
It's a two-way street, not
Yeah.
just one causing the other.
Exactly. How you see your abilities and how you actually perform are constantly influencing each other in a loop.
That's a powerful idea. Okay, so for our listener, here's something to mull over. How might this play out beyond academics?
Ooh, good question.
Could your self-belief in, say, a skill at work, or maybe a hobby, or even how you are in relationships, could that be tangled up with your actual success or satisfaction in those areas in the same way?
Creating similar kinds of positive or negative spirals.
Yeah. Is it the same dynamic potentially at play elsewhere in life?
That's a really provocative thought to leave things on. It definitely encourages thinking about how we might cultivate that positive cycle belief, reinforcing success reinforcing belief across different parts of our lives.
A great foundation for understanding that interplay. Thanks for digging into this with us.
Absolutely. Fascinating stuff.